So it's time for our exercises. So before we do them, we're going to look at the way we're going to hold our stick just one more time in a little bit of a finer detail. Now, as far as German position, we usually hold our stick in our hand, like this, and we play like this. Now the problem, as I mentioned, is this curvature. So what we want to do first off is make sure we have a natural curve on the inside of our arm. You see, if I hold my arm like this, it's curved. My wrist is not out like this. So we have a natural curve here inside your wrist, and it's freeing up the pressure so you're not getting nerve compression. Okay? So from this position, if you're now above the drum with both arms, Dom Famularo used to say, imagine your arms were around a barrel. And the reason he said this is because when you were in your relaxed position and your hand was like this, the butt of the stick is coming out just on the end, on the meaty portion of your hand right here. Okay, so you're in this position. It's like you have an imaginary barrel here. So your wrist wouldn't be around a barrel like this or like this, so you wouldn't sit like this. You don't sit like this with your hands in like this. You bring your hands out and angle it in. So that's going to be our arm position for German grip. That is the proper way. So now, as far as the stick grip that I mentioned before, I called it J grip, but it's just a modified grip between the German grip. There are two positions in the German grip, as I said, thumb and forefinger, and then using your middle finger. We're going to now apply both fingers and use this in-between space as our point of pivot back and forth on the sticks, okay? So, we want to go into our position as we did before. Put your arms down at your side, look straight ahead, your feet on the floor, roll your shoulders back, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just raise your hands, bring them in around the barrel, place the tips down, and you should be right at the center of your drum. Now, your wrist isn't going to be so bent, curved in. You don't want it that far in either way. You don't want to compress this side. So it's a very slight, natural curvature. You're just avoiding that, okay? Now, as you relax and develop this, your technique, there are going to be times when you're playing and your wrist does go that way in the midst of a technique. It's okay, but as long as you're aware of it and we're developing it properly, you should be okay. So now in this position, remember, just up with our hands on the center of the drum. The first exercise we're going to do is going to be 16 notes with our right hand, 16 notes with our left hand. 4 groups of 4, 4 groups of 4. Okay? So we want to take it from around the 10 o'clock position. The other thing is we don't need to bring our hand all the way up here because that does put that pressure and compression on the median nerve where we get that carpal tunnel. So we want to go at around what would be, depending on which way you're looking at my hand, 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock in that area, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. If you think of the hands of a clock, if this is 9 o'clock and this is 12 o'clock, we're going to be right around 10, 11 o'clock is where we want to be. And we're just going to remember 4 groups of 4. We're just going to now use this new grip and just let the stick bounce. Keeping that motion, relaxed, straight body. It's just a bounce. And now, since we have this divided fulcrum, that's how it looks on the outside. The 2 fingers, we have this little seesaw fulcrum, divided fulcrum. You can apply a little of the downstroke, the pressure now on the top of this finger, so you're taking a little more leeway and leverage off that unevenness. So again, there's our grip. 16 notes with the right hand, 16 notes with the left hand. This whole exercise is a 2-minute exercise. Don't worry about a metronome right now. We don't want to do these exercises fast. When we get into something and we attack it fast, what we're doing is bypassing the little nuances of the technique. We're surpassing fine little details that make the technique work. So we want to slow down. If you work with a metronome, you can clock yourself to see where you are now and then progressively as you go along. If you don't work with an exercise, if you don't work with a metronome, don't use it right now with these exercises because it's going to frustrate you and annoy you and it's going to stress you out and we don't want that. We want to reevaluate and redevelop our hand technique, and we're only going to do a few simple exercises in German grip and then some exercises in French grip. And now we're going to start our first exercise in German grip. So one last time with me, arms at your side, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, raise your hands on the pad, bring them up into about the 10 o'clock position. Make sure you're in your right grip, and we're going to start with 16 notes with our right hand.